Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Higgins from East Carolina. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. We'll just jump right into it. It's the high time of key showcase season in the recruiting world. So, are you guys done with your 23 class and looking at 24s? You still finishing up the 23s? What's the timing of your recruiting usually?
Yeah, we're almost finished with 2023. So I got the job here back in March of last year. So we were a little bit behind in terms of 2023 and 24 recruiting class. But we finally feel after these last few showcase events and over the Christmas and New Year period, we had a few visits after we got back from Christmas, and we pretty much finalised our 2023 class and had a couple of 24 commits. So yeah, we're finally feeling a little bit settled from a recruiting standpoint.
Well, you mentioned events. Are there kind of must go to events on your list that you hit every year? I mean, looking at your roster, you guys kind of represent the whole country, really. So where is it that you like to make sure you spend your time seeing players?
Yeah, I think when you look at the ECNL events, we definitely make sure that we go to at least three of those a year, preferably four. We don't have the luxury of going to all of them, unfortunately, with our budget and stuff, but we try and get at least 3 to 4 of those a year. So we just got back from like ECNL Florida, and we'd done Tennessee before Christmas. But recruiting is just any chance you get to see some good players, you'll take that opportunity. So we do some local events. We'll go to some local games on some weekends. But yeah, 3 to 4 ECNL events, and then some other events. So for instance, the Jeff Cup's coming up. That's a reasonable drive away from us. We'll go to that. I've done a couple of showcase events internationally, and I was also at the Junior College Championship. So just trying to see as many players and find some good players for the future.
Yeah. Well, and I know because you've got them listed on Discover College Soccer, but you guys have a few camps as well. So how do camps kind of fit into your overall recruiting process?
Yeah, camps are huge for us because it's an opportunity for to get kids on campus and show them what we have facilities wise and resources wise. So if they're interested, it's good for us to see them in our environment, and that's the only opportunity we really get to do that in terms of them coming on our field and getting to do a few sessions and play some games on our field with our coaching staff. So it's definitely an advantage for us, but also for them to kind of see our environment. So I highly recommend people doing that if they can.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, you mentioned looking at some junior college players and stuff, and obviously the transfer portal has exploded in its usage, and as you mentioned, trying to do some international stuff. So, how do those kind of things, both transfers and international recruiting, how does that kind of overall fit into what you guys do?
Yeah, so we didn't actually have any internationals when I first arrived here, and I think they've had a couple in the past in past years, but it's something that I think is trending in a positive direction in terms of the standard of some of these players coming out of these other countries are is very very high. So if you look at the trend of college athletics, even high level Division One, they have some fantastic international players. So we don't want to be behind the ball on that, and we're looking for the best players possible. And if they come from a different country or if they come from Greenville, North Carolina, we're not fussy. We're just trying to find the best players possible to help us win soccer games and help us establish a really good culture here. So um, yeah, again, we're just trying to cover as much ground as possible within our means to find the best players.
Well, you mentioned finding the best players and finding the ones right for culture. So what are, if you're at a Jeff Cup and you're looking at players, what is it? What's that hierarchy of things that's really ticking the boxes for you when you're looking at a game or looking at a profile or a highlight tape or anything like that?
I'll give you the generic answer first, which is what all coaches look for, like in terms of obviously technical ability and athleticism and these things that we do like to try and be specific as possible in terms of bringing a player in for a position. We like having versatile players, but preferably we're looking at them in a certain position and really trying to excel in that position. But without sounding too cliche, we are looking to recruit really good people and what are they doing on and off the field, and we're watching very closely with that type of thing, because those are the standards and the habits that if you're doing all of those things on a consistent basis at a high level, then you're going to be a good teammate. And if you're going to be a good teammate and hopefully add the technical and tactical and physical attributes to it, then that's when you start to build a really good program. So just like every other institution and university, they're looking for the same type of player, but we're kind of looking for the full package if we can find them, and if they're not the full package, because obviously these girls are still quite young coming out of high school, we're looking for the potential that they can really develop into a good player and a good person.
Okay. Well, I'm not holding you to any hard numbers here, but as a parent, I'm always wondering, okay, what's the price tag on a wonderful Division I institution like yours? So in terms of just between tuition and room and board, and then what financial aid options are there besides the athletic scholarships? Because obviously, you're not football, not everybody gets a full ride. So just give me a rough idea of what an average student walking in as a soccer player might be looking at.
Well, obviously we're a state school, so it really does depend on if the player is in state or out of state. So East Carolina, if their grades are good enough and they're a good enough soccer player and they're in state, then it's going to be really affordable straight off the bat. And we're in a situation where we only offer athletic scholarship. Really, we can't stack in terms of academics. So there is instances where they do get academic, but it's more for like specific academic programs like engineering or things like that, where it's a little bit more unique. But then they can obviously apply for outside scholarships as well, whether it's through their high school or anything like that. So in-state, definitely cheaper amount to go to university here, and then out of state would be pretty standard to what most universities are, or pretty standard price really. But obviously, if we are not getting them to a massive scholarship in terms of athletic scholarship, then it's going to cost a little bit more for them to come to ECU. But definitely reasonable. With us being a state school, it's definitely reasonable for in-state and out of state.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school itself. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are familiar with ECU, at least, seeing the name once upon a time, but may not be overly familiar with it. So, you've been there now almost a year. So what are some of the awesome things about the school that you found, or other great things about ECU that maybe I won't learn just by clicking through the website?
Yeah, so when I came on my interview here last March, as soon as I stepped foot on campus, I knew it was a special place. Like the resources and the facilities are first class. Greenville's not like a massive city in terms of like some of the biggest cities in the state or around the country, but what my family and I loved about it is it's a true college town, and we've been involved in college athletics for a long time now, whether it was me as a player or as a coach. And when you're in a college town, there's nothing quite like it, because everyone in Greenville kind of bleeds purple and gold, and they're really passionate about Pirate Nation and supporting all the athletic teams. So we absolutely love that buzz around the town of Greenville that really supports the ECU Pirates. So we love that. But yeah, we just think that we have everything here to become the best player or coach or student athlete possible, in terms of like, if you're committed as an individual and you're really pushing yourself every single day for your 4 years, you'll have a chance to become a much, much better player and really contribute in a positive way to this team and hopefully the success that comes with that, So, and we're also only about an hour away from the beaches, so that's always a perk if you have a day off that you can just make a little day trip to the beaches of North Carolina. Excuse me.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I mean, location-wise, Greenville just in a gorgeous part of the country. Besides the soccer part, though, again, parents are also concerned about the academic part. So with that, striking that balance between being a Division I athlete and making sure you're getting good grades and getting through all your schooling is always tough. So how do your student athletes really manage the balance between the two, and what kind of support systems does the school offer to help them with that?
Yeah, so obviously it's at the end of the day they're coming for a degree, and that's the most important thing, and we're really striving for that excellence on and off the field. So we always tell the girls or the recruits that the habits you have in the classroom bleed onto the soccer field, and vice versa. The habits you have in training every day bleed into the classroom. So we're talking about um, striving for that every single day. And ECU is a prestigious school for a lot of academic programs, and we're a very big health and science school and medical school. So if you're coming to ECU and getting a degree in any field really, but some of those particular fields, then you're going to be set up for life. And if you are a student athlete on top of that and able to really do that well, then I think that's really attractive for an employer, that you've been able to balance all those things and do them really, really well. So if you're going up against another candidate for a job and maybe they weren't a student athlete, then that's going to work in your favour. So uh, um, we also allow our players to take a nursing degree. I know not every program or coach allows that, but we tell them straight off the bat it's very difficult, but it's possible if you communicate with your professors and your coaching staff and your academic advisors, and everyone's on the same page. It's possible, and we've had many people graduate with a nursing degree from ECU, which is again very prestigious honour, and will set them up very well.
Absolutely. Well, in terms of managing a day, if you're a soccer player, can you take me back to the fall? It's in season. What does a typical day for a player look, or a typical week really look like for a player in terms of when are classes, meals, practice? What's kind of the game cadence that you guys are used to? What does that normal week look like for a player?
Yeah, so our fall is obviously different to our spring, but in the fall we have a couple of weeks of pre-season where you're basically like a professional athlete. You're just going to practice and film and all that good stuff. So it's a very enjoyable, it's a very demanding 2 weeks, but it's a very enjoyable 2 weeks because it's just all soccer. And then when classes start, so our day off is usually a Monday because we play on a Thursday, Sunday. Normally when the season kicks in, so Monday would be a day off. Tuesday we practice in the morning before classes from basically 7:30 to 9, and then Wednesday we have a pre-game practice in the morning, and then we'd have some game film or scouting report Wednesday evening, and then game Thursday. Friday we train in the afternoon. It's like a recovery session for those that played, or a regular session for those that didn't. Then Saturday morning we practice. After practice on the Saturday morning, we do a game film or scouting report, and then Sunday we play. And that usually, once we get in the thick of things, that's usually a standard week for us in the fall.
Okay. Well, let's talk more about the team and how that goes. In terms of recruiting and your team size, is there a roster size, a number that you like to hit that you feel is ideal?
Yeah, we feel like 28, not any more than that for sure. And you don't want to go too far under that either, really, because injuries happen. And obviously, you got goalkeepers on your roster, which we have 3 of. So that takes us to 25 straight away. So 28 we feel is a good number that works well for us.
Okay. Well, besides the roster of players, what about your roster of staff? Besides you, what other staff members do you have? What role does everybody play there?
Yeah, so we have basically 4 of us. So myself as a head coach, and then Emily and Evan are the assistant coaches, and Dara is our director of ops. So we have a staff of 4, which I'm very thankful and grateful for, because we can kind of delegate different things, and we all communicate with one another on a regular basis. And I'm always looking for input from my coaches and my director of ops, and yeah, I feel as if we're a good team that work well together and challenge each other every single day, and we're as prepared as possible, which I think is the first step in making sure you can be as prepared as possible, so you can really tackle all the problems that come with being a college coach.
Absolutely. Well, in terms of, your coaching style, team style of play, what does that look like?
Yeah, so um, we obviously want competitive players in our program that are competing every single day and really focusing on a high performance environment every single day, to where you're pushing yourself and you're committed to becoming the best player in person if possible. And I feel if if that happens, if you're doing your job from a recruiting standpoint and that happens and you're developing every single day, then you can be a little bit adaptable to certain formations and styles of play. Obviously, it depends on the personnel that you have that year, or it depends on injuries, or it depends on the opponent. But I think being adaptable at this level is something that has to happen. Now, long term, and if you look at my history as a coach, I do probably lean more towards like an attacking style like 4-3-3. But again, during transitions, coaching transitions and things like that, it's important to be competitive as soon as possible. So, long term, I like possessing the ball and attacking with intensity, quickly, and creating quality chances, and trying to score as many goals as possible, but while being defensively disciplined and as organised as possible. So, but I think just being passionate and competitive are the almost non-negotiables for me. You have to have those things to be competitive at this level.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. As you mentioned, we're speaking here. It's the end of January, so it's your off season. I'm sure the kids are just getting back into spring classes and everything. So, can you give me just an overview of what your off season plans look like?
Yeah, so obviously we got a lot of recruiting done there, and still kind of doing that a little bit, and then um, the girls came back, and to be fair to them, done really, really well in their fitness tests at the start of the spring semester, which we're really happy with, because it's not always the case coming back from Christmas break. But so we've done those, and they done really well. So that was a great start. And now we're training basically 3 times a week and lifting weights twice a week while we are in our 8 hours. So the NCAA allows you to do 8 hours a week, and 4 of those can be with like the ball basically, or skill instruction. So we're doing that. And then when we get into our 20 hours, which is basically our spring season, then we can add a training session and play 5 dates of competition. So we've got a decent schedule for the spring. We've got NC State, Campbell, UNC Greensboro, VCU, and Old Dominion. So 5 really good teams that are going to provide a lot of competition, and really good competition to help us improve in the off season.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Coach, you've been very generous with your time, and we've covered a lot of different things. And I always like to end these the same way, and that's what didn't we cover? What else would you like folks to know, whether it's about the college recruiting process, about ECU in general, the team, or anything else? I leave you with the last word.
Yeah, so what I always tell people in the recruiting process is like, don't panic if your friends have committed and you haven't. Like, everyone's journey or everyone's pathway is completely different. So there's a good fit for everyone. And if you are doing the right things, and you're a good person and working really hard and showcasing what you can do on and off the field, then you'll eventually find the right fit. But go out and look at as many different universities as you can, and that's the only way you're going to truly know what's the best fit for you. So highly recommend that. And in terms of ECU, we're just extremely lucky and grateful and excited to be part of Pirate Nation. It's something that you don't really get a true feel for if you don't step foot on a campus and attend a football game or a baseball game, basketball, soccer, whatever it may be. Once you come on here and you get a true feel for how passionate our fan base is, how good our resources are. We actually hosted the NCAA tournament during the COVID season in 2021 in the spring when they had that abbreviated championship season, and it was all in North Carolina. So we got to host a few NCAA tournament games, and every single team that came here were like, "Wow, this is a really good environment to play soccer in." And so we get to do that every day, and we're extremely blessed. And we want other people to come and experience it. And hopefully, we bring good people into a program that can help us achieve great success for a long time.
Great. Well, I'm sorry I missed you when you were down here for the ECNL event. It's 3 miles from my house, but if you come in March, we'll have to catch up and grab a coffee or something. All right.
Definitely. Well, it was really nice to meet you, and all the best, mate.
Yeah. Likewise. Thank you, Coach.
All right. See ya.